Whoa, 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 whoa. Go Trump, go Trump. Seems like everybody is changing their mind about that. As many people that have protested across all 50 states against Donald Trump. Is Donald Trump single-handedly ruining the USA? Hey, check this out.
Don't say that. But I'll say this: fear has a way of being contagious. Okay. When one person has fear, it has a way of spreading to those around them and spreading. And we are witnessing that, no doubt. But I say this also, my dear friends, courage is also contagious. Courage is also contagious. We're saying people stay quiet. We are seeing organizations stay quiet. We are seeing those who are capitulating to clearly unconstitutional threats. And these are the things that we are witnessing each day in these last few months in our country. And it understandably creates a great sense of fear. Because, you know, there were many things that we knew would happen. Many things. I'm not here, so I told you so.
Yesterday, the president made one of the dumbest decisions in history, one that will negatively impact every single American family, every single one. He's walking us into the dumbest and most avoidable recession probably in history. And let's call the Trump tariff tax for what they really are, a huge tax hike on American families. And not just any tax hike, J.P. Morgan called it, quote, the equivalent to the largest tax increase in since 1968. Here's what Bloomberg said, quote, roughly $2 trillion was erased from the S&P 500 at the start of U.S. trading on Thursday, amid worries that President Donald Trump's sweeping new round of tariffs could plunge the economy into a recession. And it claims more than 80% of the companies in the S&P were trading lower. Stock market has plummeted. Retirement savings are tanking. Consumer confidence is falling. Consumer expectations for the future are historically low. Companies are already announcing layoffs. I saw Stellantis just knocked off was going to fire 800 people, lay them off. All for these Trump the Trump tariff tax. All for that, so they can have more money to reduce taxes on the billionaires. The average American family is going to pay more for everything.
Trump's repeated comments about annexing Canada and his actions reveal a sociopathy that was described in detail in the 2017 book, The Dangerous Case of Donald Trump. In it, 27 psychiatrists and mental health professionals made it clear that Trump is a sociopath who poses a threat not just to the U.S., but to the entire world. Some of the assessments of Trump's personality in the book include the following, and mind you, these are assessments made by professionals who work in the area of mental health. Trump is an impulsive, immature, incompetent person who, when in the position of ultimate power, would easily slide into the role of tyrant. His sociopathic characteristics are undeniable and present a profound threat to democracy. He is profoundly an evil man exhibiting malignant narcissism. And if left unchecked, his pathological narcissism could lead to World War III.
I will say this, though. They're about to be mad at me. I don't like this.
Like what?
I don't like the I told you so stuff, man. I don't like it.
It's true.
It's true. It's definitely true. All of it was predicted. We need to listen to black women. We need to prioritize black women in leadership, all of that. But when people are struggling and when people are confused, I do not think it strikes the right chord to be like, I told you so. And
I agree with that.
I just don't think that it does. And I think that coming from the left right now, the leadership needs to be stronger about what their messaging is. Not about, I told you so, but I tell you how you're going to be better.
And also, perhaps acknowledging that a failure to get what was motivating voters is also underlying the loss. So maybe she was right about Trump, but not putting on the table something that voters actually wanted to vote for.
I'm telling you, these countries are calling us up, kissing my ass. They are dying to make a deal. Please, sir, make a deal. I'll do anything. I'll do anything, sir. And I really think we're helped a lot by the tariff situation that's going on, which is a good situation, not a bad. It's great. It's going to be legendary. You watch. Legendary in a positive way, I have to say. That's why additional tariffs on Chinese goods are in place effective midnight tonight at 104%. Until they make a deal with us, that's what it's going to be. I think they'll make a deal at some point. China will, they want to make a deal. They really do. They want to make a deal. They just don't know how to get it started because they're proud people. China will now pay a big number to.
Good evening. It is great to have you with us here on a Wednesday night. We begin tonight with President Trump's sudden reversal on his tariffs, sending stocks skyrocketing today, just 13 hours after President Trump's sweeping reciprocal tariffs actually kicked in. President Trump then abruptly announcing a 90-day pause on those tariffs on everyone except China and keeping a baseline 10% tariff in place across the board. The stock market soaring on the president's sudden change today, the Dow gaining more than 2,900 points. The S&P 500 up 474 points. The NASDAQ roaring back up 1,857 points, up 12%. The Dow still down nearly 4% since last week's tariffs announcement, but the scope of the recovery today was unmistakable. Earlier today, President Trump told Americans and investors, be cool, hoping to calm markets. Hours later, abruptly announcing the pause and telling reporters people were getting yippy, a little bit afraid. And the president acknowledging he had his eye on the U.S. bond market, a big sell-off with China and Japan dumping U.S. bonds, and what that signaled. Tonight, reports some Republicans on Capitol Hill were clapping when they heard the president reverse course, and how China is now responding tonight, with China the only exception to the pause. ABC's chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce leading us off tonight.
Tonight, the stunning about-face from President Trump, bowing to pressure from worried investors, frustrated businesses, a sell-off in the bond market, and the increasingly anxious American people. The president announcing he is pausing most of his sweeping retaliatory tariffs, just 13 hours after they went into effect.
Well, I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, you know? They were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid.
Last night, a very different tone.
I know what the hell I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. And you know what I'm doing, too. That's why you vote for me.
Even this morning, Trump writing, be cool, everything is going to work out well. Wall Street in a tailspin in the week since Trump unveiled his massive tariffs. The Dow dropping more than 4,500 points. Forecasts of a recession on the rise. 2 days ago, with the markets plunging, I asked the president, would he consider a pause? Would you be open to a pause in tariffs to allow for negotiations?
Well, we're not looking at that.
But today, a complete reversal. The president posting, I have authorized a 90-day pause and a substantially lowered reciprocal tariff during this period of 10%. On Fox Business, one analyst saying the president and Treasury Secretary were likely taking special note of a major overnight development, a sell-off in the bond market. Countries like China and Japan dumping American bonds.
If you have a mass sale of bonds, that means people are losing confidence in the U.S. economy, on the ability to do deals with us. And from what I understand, this is what forced the hand of this 90-day reprieve.
The president today acknowledging he had his eye on the bond market.
Yeah, I saw last night where people were getting a little queasy.
Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, a surreal moment. The president's trade representative, Jamieson Greer, being grilled by lawmakers about the tariffs when news broke of the pause.
Mr. Trade Representative, are you aware that the tariffs have been paused?
I am, yes.
When were you made aware of that?
Well, I understood the decision was made a few minutes ago.
And what do you know about those details?
Well, as I mentioned...
it looks like your boss just pulled the rug out from under you and paused the tariffs, the taxes on the American people. There's no strategy. You just found out 3 seconds ago, sitting here, we saw you.
The moment encapsulating growing frustration on the Hill. Yesterday in the Senate, some Republican senators sounding increasingly skeptical of the president's sweeping tariffs.
Whose throat do I get to choke if this proves to be wrong?
But on Main Street, the frustration coming from small businesses worried about staying afloat if tariffs force them to raise prices. At Pacer's running store in Alexandria, Virginia, owner Chris Farley says his supplier told him the price of this pair of sneakers is about to skyrocket.
He said if things track the way they're tracking now, it'd be $220. And I said, I can't sell this for $220. I can't.
I was with Chris when we got word the tariffs were now on hold.
Okay, so the president, it appears, just announced that he is pausing these tariffs and lowering them.
This is the world we're in now. What I was hoping for is some predictability of life and work, and this is just so challenging that's great news. Maybe I should react that that's great news, but what does that mean for tomorrow?
Today, the president was asked how Americans are supposed to trust him after such a dramatic change in position.
You said that these tariffs would go in effect on Monday. You said no pause. And today there is a pause. So how can people believe your words today?
You have to have flexibility. I could say, here's a wall, and I'm going to go through that wall. I'm going to go through it no matter what. And keep going, and you can't go through the wall. Sometimes you have to be able to go under the wall, around the wall, or over the wall.
The president late today at the White House. Let's get right to Mary Bruce live at the White House as well tonight. Mary, the president obviously suddenly putting his reciprocal tariffs on hold. This was just about 13 hours after they went into effect at midnight. We know there's still a baseline 10% tariff in place across the board. The exception is China tonight. I'm curious China's reaction. And the president and the White House also aware of the sell-off in the U.S. bond market and what that signaled.
Well, David, they were definitely aware of that sell-off. And the president tonight, as you say, is only escalating his trade war with China, responding with 125% tariffs on Chinese exports. That is a staggering amount. It comes after Beijing announced a new round of retaliation to Trump's tariffs on them. Now, President Trump says a deal with China is still possible. He says he's willing to talk to President Xi, but the Chinese tonight, David, say they will, quote, fight to the end. David.
Mary Bruce leading us off from the White House tonight. Mary, thank you.
The president's latest statement regarding his America First trade plan. As you all know, the president just put out a statement announcing an additional tariff on China. The tariff on China will now go up to 125% because China imprudently decided to retaliate against the United States. And as I said at the podium yesterday, when you punch at the United States of America, President Trump is going to punch back harder. In that same vein, we have had more than 75 countries from around the world reach out to President Trump and his team here at the White House to negotiate better trade deals for the American worker. We have been overwhelmed with the amount of requests from countries around the world. I'll let the Secretary speak to that. We will continue with the tailor-made negotiations that I spoke about yesterday. In the meantime, there will be a 90-day pause on the reciprocal tariffs as these negotiations are ongoing, and the tariff level will be brought down to a universal 10% tariff. The Secretary here has been a huge part of the President's trade team, of course, and will continue to lead these negotiations moving forward to look out for the American worker, which is always President Trump's goal. So I'll kick it over to our great Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent.
Good, thank you. And we saw the successful negotiating strategy that President Trump implemented a week ago today. It has brought more than 75 countries forward to negotiate. It took great courage for him to stay the course until this moment. And what we have ended up with here, as I told everyone a week ago, they're in this very spot, do not retaliate and you will be rewarded. So every country in the world who wants to come and negotiate, we are willing to hear you. We're going to go down to a 10% baseline tariff for them, and China will be raised to 125 due to their insistence on escalation.
Yes or no? What are you afraid of? You can't answer this question. Yes or no, did you lead an audit? Do you not know this answer?
Senator, every part of my leadership of these organizations has been misrepresented.
I will take that as a no. Can you name the importance of at least one of the nations in the ASEAN, and what type of agreement we have with at least one of those nations? And how many nations are in ASEAN, by the way?
I couldn't tell you the exact
No, you
amount of
couldn't,
nations
because
in
you've
that,
not
but I
even
know we have
bothered to
allies
do-
in South Korea and Japan and in AUKUS with Australia, and trying to work on submarines with them.
Mr.
and data
Hegseth,
transfers
none
with
of those
them.
countries
We
are
have
in
allies
ASEAN.
across.
None of those 3 countries that you've mentioned are in ASEAN. I suggest you do a little homework before you prepare for these types of negotiations. How can we ask these warriors to train and perform the absolute highest standards when you are asking us to lower the standards to make you the Secretary of Defense simply because you are buddies with our president-elect? And by the way, he has filed for bankruptcy 6 times. I'm not quite sure he's the kind of CEO you want to refer to as a successful businessman.
Donald Trump has clearly lied to the American people. Donald Trump has clearly lied to the American people. A couple days ago, people were out marching and protesting in all 50 states against Donald Trump. And as we rewind, let's go back. Everybody was like, oh, go Trump, he's gonna change America, make America great again. Well, where is all that now? Where is all that now? It seems like the American people are waking up. The American people know that they have been bamboozled and lied to and tricked. Even Elon Musk is like, I think I'm going to step down from my position. How did we, the American people, the country, go to having a celebrity as a president that had nothing to do with politics at all? And then, not only that, he brings in, quote unquote, the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, that has no political background at all. And these 2 guys are wrecking the country. These 2 guys are doing things unprecedented that the American people are going to have to deal with the consequences of. But everybody is so caught up in this make America great again. But do we have to wreck the country to make America great again? Do we have to devalue the American dollar? Do we have to make enemies with all these other countries for America to be great again? Is that what we have to do? Because if that's the path, then how can we get great out of that? We can't get nothing great out of bad things. You know how this goes. You know how this goes. Hey, thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure you drop down in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about this video. See y'all next time.